good afternoon, everyone, and happy Bartenders Day to all of us. As we were just chit chatting about a lot of stuff that we've been doing in the past. Uh, as I said, the session is all about just a casual chat about the basic things, and as I said, I would ask a couple of serious questions to begin with. That kind of brings in the seriousness to the entire room, and then we'll just open it up for a fun-loving chat for that matter. Yeah. So starting off with the Bartenders Day, I think we will all start up. I would love to hear. We're all very experienced bartenders and have had, I think, more than the entire experience of this room would be like really heavy right now. I would not want to count the number of years right now because then Abhishek and me will be embarrassed. But coming to the point, I think one memory or when did we even realize that Bartenders Day is something to be celebrated? I'm sure Lama sir, Shakti ma'am, Kaman, Nitin senior, when was this? Like I just realized it a few years back. There is something known as a Bartenders Day, but was there something like that earlier as well, or is it like Valentine's, wherein you tell your love that no darling, it's Valentine's for us every I mean, how and when did Bartenders Day, or what is the kind of relevance of Bartenders Day in your lives, and how it started, and what do you do now? I don't know. Start with the ladies of the room.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
So honestly, I have no recollection because in my time there was no such thing as Bartenders Day. Obviously, there was no internet and there was no, Google and any of those things. So therefore, we had no idea of anything called World Bartenders Day. It's only after the whole world came together and suddenly the world seemed much smaller than we thought it was. That's when we started hearing of all these various days, not just World Bartenders Day, but suddenly I find that every day is a day, and I, for one, find it very difficult to keep up with it.
Lama Senior, looking at the smile, I'm sure there are a lot of thoughts and a lot of dialogues almost there.
Very simple. Forget about Bartenders Day. There were no bartenders. Like, I think when we were behind bars, there wasn't. We weren't bartenders. Let's say first and foremost, because we were mostly captains or servers or stewards. So the question of a bartenders day didn't even come into the picture. I think, like ma'am said, it came in much later when we got connected, as one world. Also with stronger connectivity amongst bartenders. Also, the whole idea of like how 18-20 years ago, how the chefs became more glorified. I think now that the bartenders have become glorified, it's a good way of giving them more recognition, more glorification, and then saying it is an important day in our lives as well. And it's always good to celebrate that one day, once in a year. Although we kind of celebrate ourselves throughout the year, but it's always nice to dedicate that 1 year to the profession of bartending, and just to, as even whether as professionals or as consumers also, to be able to, give that respect to the profession of bartending. I think it's a nice thing.
Great. Good to hear that. Nitin Senior?
I agree completely to Shakti ma'am and Yadup sir. Like, to be honest, like when I started, at least we were known as little bit of bartenders. People knew that there is a skill called bartending, because before me, people didn't knew about bartending. But when I started, at least there was little bit awareness about the whole concept of a guy standing behind a bar and making cocktails, and that guy is called as bartender. And I think it is, I think pretty much like this past 5-6 years, pretty much when Bartender Day became a phenomenon. I think it has belonged to similar philosophy, like how card companies made Rose Day, Chocolate Day, Valentine's Day, all these days very popular. Similarly, alcohol companies have been very helpful and supportive in making this World Bartender Day a reality, because they are the real people who are pushing this across to bartenders and making sure that everyone is aware of it. Like I remember 2 years down the line when I saw it first being celebrated in India, it was still among just the community, among the bartenders. But last year, like on social media, people wished, like which are consumers, is like, hey, happy World Bartender Day to you. And I realized, okay, now consumers also know this. So I think it is going in the right direction. At least there is more seriousness to our profession, which is bartending.
Your Instagram page, right?
Let's see.
Super. Abhishek, you are the young generation right now. What do
Yes,
you
sir.
think? Like where it all started
Sir, for,
and what happened?
sir, first of all, thank you for making me join this conversation. It's like great honor for me. And sir, when I have started my career, it was totally very new for me. Going from a very small city to Bangalore, I have seen a lot of very new thing, and it was totally the uh, uh, you can say that the lifestyle it was totally different. So I was very surprised, and I have seen a lot of things that the TV life which reflect in front of me, which I have seen on every the songs, and also that all I have seen. So it was very good experience, and I have learned a lot. So when I started my career, so in the start phase, I never got a chance to work behind the bar. But yes, I have learned a lot of things from my seniors, and also uh, that was how I started my journey.
Just the perfect way to get online, be the nice person, the nice
Yes, yes.
bartender. Super. Super. So I think, I think Kama sir is also back, but we can take that question again with him. So talking about the evolution, I think all of us mentioned that, how it all came to be and stuff like that. And now, of course, there is a Kamasini, are you back?
Ye- Yeah, bro, I got disconnected. So now,
Okay, cool. So we were just asking about or discussing about how and when this suddenly this bartenders day start and what is the kind of relevance for us and what do you think about it? When was the first time you were wished a happy bartenders day and who wished you? Yeah, I think we'll have to come back, circle back to that question. Anyways, so yeah, so like we all mentioned about the evolution and stuff like that, one of the questions that I ask on every panel, and I think everybody's asking on every panel, and it's become one of the most abused used questions ever. What are the top 3 trends in beverage industry that you see from the point of view of bartenders? I know there are a lot of trends which are happening, across. But let's say from a bartender's point of view, what is it that you really see, changing? I know it is techniques, it is, the basics, but anything in particular that you feel has really evolved, or it's going to make, a stay and will be the most relevant trend going forward, and not like any other trend which comes and goes back. Any one or two things that comes to your mind? Lamasina, you want to start with that?
I think first and the foremost is the bartender outlook. I think bartenders now are very, very conscious about themselves. So definitely the bar, the cocktail program, the beverage program, all of that is in place. But what I've seen is bartender really, really taking care of themselves first in terms of the outlook, right? So whether it's their own grooming, whether it's style, people like to feel good. I think bartenders really love to look good, right? So there was a time then when you had to tell bartenders to groom properly, to have the right hygiene, to look good, all of that. The grooming standards was very, very important. That was part of the attributes of a bartender. I think that is very much in place naturally. Like bartenders want to be like movie stars, right? So therefore they want to look good. They want to wear clothes that they're comfortable in. They're very stylish and they know exactly how to carry themselves. It's not like because somebody else is wearing an earring, I also want to wear it. But I think they've been able to identify themselves better as an individual. And I think I see that a lot amongst bartenders. And I think that is something which is great, which is fantastic because also the fact that bartenders are more conscious about their own, well-being, which is such a beautiful thing to happen. And I think more than the trend, I think it's going to be a true character of future bartenders as well. And this is something that's going to stay because it's a good thing that has happened to the profession. And I'm sure it's going to stay for really, really long.
Fantastic.
More
I think that's a
conscious.
very relevant point. Yeah, no doubts, no doubts. I think that's a very relevant point. Shapi ma'am, anything that you really see as a trend or anything that is specifically coming out and standing out for you?
Yeah, no, like Lama said, I think it's good to see that bartenders are actually making the effort to look the part of a really, really good bartender. Earlier, there were times when, we would literally want to tear our hair out, saying that for Christ's sake, you need to at least look relevant to the part. And I'm glad that they're taking that seriously now. And, we've always said that you need to be your own person. You can be inspired by other people, but you don't want to be like them. You don't want to be better than them. You want to use the knowledge to, become a person in your own right and to create drinks which have your character in it, as opposed to just do a cut paste of what was happening all this time, that we had a tendency to do simply a cut copy paste of the West and bring it here. It's good to see that they are evolving as people and they are choosing to do things, choosing to use techniques that they feel are relevant to them. And they're creating their own out of it. So yes, they're using things that the world and their mother is using, but at the same time, they're also using and they're also doing things that become a part of who they are. So that's truly good. And I'm the one trend that I'm happy to be without, forget about whether it will be or not, but to be without is this whole concept of doing what the West expects of you. If that goes away, I'll be a really happy person. Because one has to understand and realize as bartenders that at the end of the day, we are dealing with our audience. And the people who come to our bars are relevant to us. Therefore, if we foist upon them what we think they should be aware of or they should know, that means that we are not really evolving as people. Yeah. So take the inspiration, yes, but please don't be them.
Oh, I think that's again very, very deep, but very fantastic, really, rather to the point sort of, answer. Kamasinia, what do you feel about this entire?
Bro, I missed your question. I was hearing to the answers, but I got
Just answer
disconnected.
whatever, sir. We are absolutely fine. Just answer.
So what you asked?
So the question basically was that the bartenders is evolving and the place is evolving, and we were discussing about the bartenders day per se, that how it all started, because it sort of came all of a sudden to a lot of us, for that matter. And one of the most common questions about the entire panel discussions wherever we have had is one or two trends which you've seen come from the past and now suddenly become big, or something that is relevant and will stay instead of coming like a fashion and going back. So that was not the question, but that is the sort of topic or the top line. Please feel free to add into your comments.
So I feel the shelf life means as it's evolving, the shelf life of a bartender is like really decreasing. Everyone is looking for a quicker success journey, and just a few years in bar, get all the hype and then just move on. So this is what I feel, the way more we are evolving, the lesser focus on the actual bartending that is actually missing. So everyone is just diversifying just after a very short stint in the industry. So that is where I'm not too happy with the current bartending scene. So otherwise, rest everything is like at par with the rest of the world.
Too early, too much is what everybody needs. And I think we've had a very fantastic and really, really good discussion. I remember with Lama sir as well back in the days when he mentioned that it's also good in a way that, people are evolving and stuff. So talking about diversification, Nitin Senior, what do you think about it?
Sorry, didn't get what you said.
I'm saying no, the question remains pretty much the same.
Okay.
But since you mentioned about diversification and the bartenders moving on too quickly, what do you think about the trend or anything that is particular for you too that you've seen?
I think what Kama pointed is a very valid issue that is happening in the industry. The bartenders are not consistent or not working in the same field for a really long time. and they are getting into different kind of things. Like a lot of people really want to become a manager or general manager very quickly, lead a bar of their own, working with brands. That has also become a very big thing. I think in some ways it is helping people to see beverage business or bar business as a very serious point, as a business, as a serious profession to get into. But also what is happening is not many people are remaining in that bartending as a core bartender and developing that whole thing. I personally think that you know there are positives and negatives of the same phenomena. Diversification is definitely happening, and it is making this whole bar community give more possibilities in future. Like every time when a bartender works, they always ask, "What's the future for me while I'm working as a bartender?" And I think all these different things that are opening up, maybe it's a brand ambassador thing or as a consultant or different things, these are giving opportunities for these bartender to grow. But the only mistake that is happening, it is happening too fast. I think bartenders need to devote more time, understand the market or the people in more detail to actually jump into that. I see bartenders with an experience of 3 years now jumping into being a role of a brand ambassador, which I think is not the right thing that is happening for the industry.
So Abhishek, you've had an experience of what, 5-7 years now, 10 years?
Sir, around 8 years here.
So ho gaya na, matlab, what is next?
Sir,
No, what do you think? Like, we're all, I mean, we can easily speak
right.
very
No,
loudly.
sir.
But
Nitin
do you
sir
think
is
that's
saying
also
the right.
happening within
Yes,
your
yes.
friend circle, or
It is happening, sir. It is happening. I also receive a lot of calls and saying that अब तो कर लिया, अब मुझे कुछ अच्छा करना है. I want to grow as a lead man or something. So sir, I can see the in point of the bartender view that people are also very much aware of the drinks and ensuring that they are getting the right thing. So awareness of cocktail culture is very much now in the consumers nowadays. So this is the changing thing which I have seen in past years. So this I yes.
Interesting. I'm sure there'll be a lot of bartenders, who will be watching this live when it goes tomorrow, on the platforms and stuff. Every time we've had, long journeys of, our tenures, and there are usually these pointers which, on which we take decisions, which either, take you to one zone or the other. And of course, there are
Right.
certain decisions which are right and certain decisions which we feel could be better. I would love to, personally for that matter, would also love to understand that what is that one thing that you could have done better, or you think that, you could have changed it in your career, in your personal career, which could have made, I mean, you were already legends for that matter, but something that you feel that could have been more explored in your own personal journeys, if you don't mind sharing. I mean, it can be anyone who can start for that matter. Okay, I'll have to pinpoint. Nitin,
Okay, I'll do it. It's all
okay,
right.
there you go.
I was waiting to see if anyone would offer, but obviously,
Who's bolder than you? Nobody.
talking of personal journeys is always
It
something
has
that
to be
you are
based on
reticent.
seniority.
अच्छा, ये लो, इसको तो ना उंगली करने में ना वो उस्ताद हो गया है. I think he is making up for all the times when he was this really good young boy who was so quiet and never said a word.
So अभी तो एक और को मिस कर रहा हूँ मैं, सैंडी को. तो बड़ा अच्छा लगता है, because then you don't become the senior most. You're right there in the middle.
Exactly. अरे फिर तो it becomes like a जाने दो, but yeah, I wish he was here.
फिर हम सिर्फ ऑडियंस होते हैं यहाँ पे.
No, it will be good to have him. I hope he joins us even if it's late. Sometimes, his point of view is exactly what some of us need. He, of course, so when you talk of personal journeys, he understood what he needed to be very early in life, unlike a lot of us. I'm still on that journey of understanding and learning. I think, if I don't know if I would have been able to change anything purely because of who I am. I give the appearance of someone who is always out there and is always in the face of everything that's happening. But as a person, actually, I'm the exact reverse. I'm a very solitary person, and given a chance, I would rather be in complete, in an atmosphere where I'm alone and there's no one else around me and nothing for me to see except just, mountains and trees, maybe. I'm happy on my own. So I've spent a lot of my time in areas where I've enjoyed every bit of it. But obviously, there is that part of me that is not that person. And I think if I had to change something, I wish I could have changed that, because if I had been able to change that, maybe I would not have been as reticent as I still am to put myself out there. People think I do, but actually I don't.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Super. Lama sir, please go for it.
If I had to really restart or redo certain things, there aren't much, because let me be very honest. What I've done and what I've in the journey as a professional, I think whatever has happened, I think I'm always very thankful, because this is not what I had expected. Because honestly speaking, I didn't have an end goal. I was just doing things because it was leading to something, and I was just saying, okay, let me keep doing it. That is how it all happened. But if I was to redo something today, and when I look back at the last 26 years of my life as a professional bartender, I would have actually given a little bit more time to the bartending school, because I still feel all of us who run bar schools in India, we could have done much better in that space to make the whole idea of bartending schools much stronger and a more, like for me, when I look at the bar school that I run, I always feel that we still doing what we've been doing, when we started off, like in 2002 is when I started the bartending school. But I feel that I should have laid a little bit more trust and not only done a lot of weddings to get those, cash the next morning. I should have spent a little bit more time in the bar school, because I do not see finished product coming out of the bar school. And honestly speaking, when somebody comes to me today and says, I want to learn bartending, I try to put him in one of my bars so that it's on the job learning, because I always felt that the guy, after doing his course in bartending, is still not a finished product. It's like you do your hotel management, you're still not a hotelier, right? And I think we could have done much better in that space, or could have, at least I could have thought a little better on that space. And then, because now it's too late, we're too busy to spend time on the bartending school. It's also greed. You also get greedier. So just joking, but I think that is definitely one area that, because I love it, I enjoy trainings, not just giving trainings, but being part of trainings. And I feel that is small little bit that I could have probably given a little bit more emphasis as a professional, not just in terms of self-improving, but that could have definitely helped a lot of students who came and did or learned bartending through our bar school. Definitely, I would have changed that.
No, I think that's a great thought, sir. But trust me, a lot of people, like even me, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of the other three as well, have also learned a lot from you already without being joining your bar school. So that's where we saved a few dollars, but still, I think that's a very noble thought, and I'm sure there is a lot more learning that you will be spreading throughout the world.
No, अगर गुरु दक्षिणा देके सीखोगे ना, उसका फायदा और ज्यादा होता है.
I'm sending a few drinks right away, sir. Okay, so yeah, तो सर मैं I'll keep the point वाला गुरु दक्षिणा वाला point, sir. अभी ऐसे अंगूठा बस काट दूंगा अभी. Super. Okay, coming back.
Lama,
Nitin
I just wanted to say to you that your point about connecting, you spending more time with them and getting a really better finished product. I have to say that I actually spend time at the school, and I still do. I still teach at least 50% of the subjects that are taught. And I can tell you that yes, being part of a bar is 100% what they need, for sure, because you'll never get a completely finished product until they have actually worked at least for a while, to kind of apply what they have learned. Luckily, some of them do and are able to, and that's a good thing. But I think it's also, you must understand also, don't feel too bad, because it's also the generation that we're talking about. If you compare them to the generations that we had earlier, I've been teaching since let me say more than 20 years, and it's just the generation that is there today wants a quick fix with everything, and therefore their ability to focus and learn, or even want to get to that point that you and me want, is almost an impossibility. So out of the whole group, you will get, if you're really, really lucky, maybe 20% wants to actually get there. The rest of them just wants to go there, do the job, and then hope that they can, get their time in the sun very quickly.
Very relevant as well.
Quite agree. Yep.
So for me, like if I have to say this, like as the Lamas has said, like I'm very happy with how things have turned out to me. Like I never expected my life to be in this shape right now where I'm sitting. So I'm super happy with that. The only thing that, if I have to say that if I have to change, I would have spent some more years as a bartender, because like yes, I am a bartender today as well, but I pretty much do guest bartending as well because I just go for some time and bartend. I don't go every day in the morning, open the bar, set up the bar, run it, make sure close it and everything. That feeling, of going to a bar and making drinks day in, day out, which I had when I was in Rix or Taj or, in Hyatt's and all these hotels. I prefer if I would have spent few more years like that, with no more stress around it. It's just like one aim: going, working, and coming back to work. I think that is something that I miss a little bit. Second is travel. Yes, I have traveled a lot, but I travel was mostly for work, and I just spent time, doing trainings and all these things. If I would have traveled more and seen some local flavors and things, I think my knowledge would have been way more than what it is about different cultures and different flavors.
Interesting. You're always welcome to do a guest shift at Sidecar and spend more time. But charge only the amount that a bartender charges. I don't think we can afford you on a daily basis. Sir, Lama sir, sorry I took that liberty, but I think I'm right?
No, I'll be very happy because we always thought of bartenders.
Super. Kama Senior, what's your take on it? Anything that you would have changed?
The only thing I missed out was I have had a good life and I'm having a good life. The only thing I missed out was the weddings. I feel I should have been attitude-wise more clear in terms of dealing with the lalas, so that I could have made money. I would have been a rich man now.
Like Mr. Lama.
You're talking to Lama or Lala? Did you say Lama or Lala?
Lala.
Interesting. Abhishek, I know you've had a very, comparatively a smaller journey, but
Yes,
one thing that you feel could have been better, or you could have, or I'm sure you can do even now.
right, sir. So, sir, what I have missed, I would have, joined some good bar school after the hotel graduation. So that is what I have think that I have missed. Otherwise, everything is went well till now.
I'll share Shatvi ma'am's and Lama sir's number with you right after this. Huh? You can still do a small course. I mean, I would actually,
Right,
in fact, I would love to do something like that, like a small vocational course or something like, 6 months plus minus, just getting into bartending and nothing else. It's so much that has changed. So I think that has, super. So I think we've had some serious discussions and good, very, very relevant points. And there are a lot of learnings that even I have taken as always. I would just ask you very simple questions.
Before you go on to the next question, you haven't answered your own question. You should also because you've also been at space for a while now. So you should also tell us, not just ask us.
So why do you think I take the panel discussions and I become the moderator so that I don't have to answer anything? No, I think I mean, like you, I think I can relate with your journey as well a lot. Like you mentioned that you're an accidental bartender and you didn't know. I think similarly, I was a black sheep of the family. I had no idea, where I was moving to. It's just that I think during my wasabi days is when I really, started selling some really good wines, and that was not because of the love or the understanding of the wines. That was purely because we wanted to make the most, amount of money in terms of the sale by the evening to beat Rick's and House of Ming and other places. And then I realized that we are selling these fancy wines and we're not even aware about the grapes or whatever, and we were faffing around because the good thing was that the person who was drinking was also not aware about it. So if we said Cabernet, he said, "Oh, nice Cabernet." So I think of course that learning definitely happened, but like Nitin sir mentioned, my travel happened much later in my career. I think if the travel would have happened much earlier and a little more focus was already there, then I think things could have been much, much better. Though as I said, like you all mentioned, I'm very happy, a little jealous of certain lives, but yeah, I'm very happy with what I have. And again, it was an accidental thing, but I think it's a journey, it's a learning, and I think we're still, and I mean, it's still going on. There is a lot that still can be done, and or rather would be done. So hopefully, things will improve. That was ठीक ना, ठीक है sir? Good answer, right? Diplomatic, correct, politically right.
You're an intelligent moderator because all your answers is a summary of all the other answers that the guys gave in the panel. But smart.
Tarun sir, just cut this line, na? Just cut this line.
Will do, sir. Will do.
Okay, cool. So moving on, if with your permission, moving on to the next section. As I said, the answers will be, I mean, these are just very generic and very interesting and very cool questions which came, after speaking with a few friends. And the answer could be a yes or a no, and then we might or might not elaborate individually on that. In case the answer is yes, just raise your hand or your glass that you're or your drink that you're having in your hand. If the answer is no, just be the way you are right now. Yeah. So I just throw the question. Either it's a yes or a no. In case you want to elaborate, it's fine. Otherwise, it's absolutely fine if you don't want to elaborate. Have you ever been thrown out of a bar?
Yeah,
As
I've
a
been thrown
guest,
out of the
as
bar
a
many
bartender,
times.
whatever. Huh?
Mostly as a bartender, I've been thrown out of the bar quite a few times.
Okay.
I will not
Anybody
tell you
else?
when, but it has happened at the hotel bar as well as in a wedding bar.
Oh wow.
As a young person, I was very short-tempered. I still know I misbehaved with a guest at a wedding, and there was a problem. So I was asked to leave the bar. So, and the thing is that it happened, but much later, I think in a couple of years, I kind of realized that it was my fault. One of the important things as a professional is also discipline. And that's such an important thing. We might be the best cocktail creators. We might be the best guys to do all the good things at the bar, but the discipline was a very, very important aspect of being a good professional. And that was one of the biggest learning because it happened to me, right? It happened. I was asked to leave the bar. And this was at a wedding. I still remember that farmhouse in Delhi. I was asked to leave the bar.
Nice. Interesting. I would not ask you, as I said, in the detail, and probably after this chat, I'll ask you the guest name also. It'll be fun. But anybody else? Kamasina, I
Yeah,
can
a lot
see
of
a
times.
big smile. A lot of times.
A lot of times, yeah.
Any particular one that you would want to share?
It's all a very embarrassing one, so I would rather not share. Means I don't remember also, but I do remember. Yeah, this has happened a lot. So
As a bartender.
as a bartender.
Shakti ma'am, come on. Shakti ma'am is like, I have thrown people out. I am the one who actually throws them out.
I was a very super polite person. Even when I was really, really angry, my thing was to be extra polite when I'm super angry.
I'll keep that in mind. Nitin Sinha,
in the
बता दो.
hope that they realize that I'm actually telling them what assholes they are.
Nitin Sinha, never
Uh,
ever.
Nah, never been thrown out of the bar for for the work or something like. But there are some funny incidents. Like I was thrown out of the Rick's bar, so not by the guest or anyone else, but my colleagues, because Rick's had a very small space to store glasses. If you see at the back,
Correct.
and I have a tendency to touch a lot of glasses by mistake, and they fell and they break. So because of the increasing breakage, at one point of time, Nilon Joy, who everyone knows from Rick's days, he asked me that, यार तू बार के अंदर मत जा थोड़े दिन, breakage बहुत high है, तू बार service कर ले. So that is the only incident I remember of not being allowed to go inside the bar.
That's quite a creative one. I've never heard of that. Abhishek, how about you?
No, sir, no. I have never been.
अब तो होगा भी तो नहीं बताएगा, अभी तो सीनियर्स बैठे हैं सारे.
नहीं सर, ऐसा तो अभी नहीं हुआ. पहले तो जाने का चांस ही नहीं मिलता था ना अंदर.
Oh,
सिर्फ
interesting.
yes, सिर्फ मेजा करके
Have
ऑफिस.
you? Sure. Because sometimes we have to take the tough decisions. Have you thrown out guests out of the bar?
Yes.
Come on,
Yes, sir. Like
just raise your hand if you have.
Quite a few.
Quite a few.
I have quite a few times. Yes, I do it even now sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But
Nice.
not in a crude way, but in a very diplomatic way. I do it even now because and you've seen both my bars, right? I think one of the
Yeah.
key things is sometimes, and that is what I keep saying when I meet hoteliers. When I do trainings with hotels, I always figure out that one of the key mistakes that we make as hoteliers is to say all the time that guest is always right. No, let's not use that tagline that guest is always right. I always say guest is a human being. So the thing is, if a guest is wrong, you don't have to point fingers straight away and say directly that you're wrong, but there's a way to say it. And if you actually adopt the right way to say it, I think as a human being, a lot of people, and especially if you are catering, the acceptance is definitely there. And I've seen that in my bars. There have been instances where, especially in the Gurgaon bar, very early on, we used to get a lot of, I would not say the wrong guests, but I think we used to get a profile which was not meant to be coming to that bar. And it was very difficult. And I've actually asked people to leave many times from the bar, but not in a direct way. Otherwise, I would have been killed by now, but in a very diplomatic manner.
Interesting. Have you ever flirted with the bartender or a guest? Hopefully opposite sex.
I think that's the amongst the attributes of a bartender. We don't put it in black and white, but that's one of the attributes of being a good bartender.
And you are
Not
an
to
amazing
flirt.
bartender, as we know.
Not really flirting, but to let them believe that we appreciate them, or we may be interested, but we know we are not.
I love the way you sugarcoated it and said we appreciated them. Kama Senior.
Yeah. In fact, I'm married to one and flirted with a. I don't even remember how many. I hope she doesn't watch this episode.
Interesting. Nitin Sin, I think people would have flirted with you, bro.
Not in that category, I think so. So I am also married to someone who was working in the bar that, so you can understand where it all starts. But yeah, I think as Lama sir pointed out, it is one important trait of a person to become a perfect bartender, that they should be very smart in how to talk to guests or flirt with them.
सब डिप्लोमेटिकली करेक्ट हो गए शादी के बाद, नहीं सर?
वही तो, क्या करें, पहले पूछा तो अच्छे से उत्तर देते.
Abhishek.
Yes, sir.
He's like last evening. That's your answer.
No, sir. हो जाता है कभी-कभी.
Hard life. कभी-कभी हो जाता है. What to do? I don't do it. It just naturally comes. Sir.
मैं मैनेज नहीं कर पाता, वो हो जाता है.
Interesting. Now this one, guys, let's be very, very honest with this one. ये शादी से कोई related नहीं है, कहीं कोई problem नहीं है, but let's be very honest with this one. Have you ever stolen a bottle from the bar? It could be empty bottle also, It could be a filled bottle. It could be, for whatever reason. Have you ever stolen a bottle or taken a bottle?
I
लामा
have
की smile देख के पता
from
लग
the
गया
Polo
मेरे को.
Lounge. From the
From
Polo
the Polo
Lounge.
Lounge.
So, yeah. So pastry shop, the sidewalk pastry shop used to be managed by the Polo Lounge bar. And there was one inventory that took place. And this is I think this was in 97, I think. So Atul Senior, my teacher, was the manager then. And we were all single guys, very naughty. We were a bunch of naughty guys at the bar. But, we were all very happy working behind the bar as a team. So what happened is there were 2 bottles of Absolute and 2 bottles of Black Label that was excess. And before the controls came in to do the interview, do the inventory the next morning, during the closing, we realized, and this is a secret, nobody's ever said it amongst us, we knew that there were 4 bottles of alcohol or spirit excess. You know what we did? We pulled it out of the bar. We put it in one of the side stations. There's station number 3 in the corridor side, because that is where we used to stock the linen. So we stocked the bottles there, and the next day the inventory happened, and there was no discrepancy. So we knew that up to 30 अब तो ये excess है, लेकिन निकालेंगे कैसे? And I used to, we had this bunch of guys. We were roommates, 8 of us, out of which there was this one guy who was a banker, all from Darjeeling. And we used to, every off day of mine, we used to have a party there. So get pork, get some booze, and then we used to make pork, eat, and sing and dance, right? So then these guys used to come to Polo Lounge often. So I told them, yeah, there's some alcohol that needs to be taken out. So 4 of my friends walked in, and हमने पता क्या किया था? So we got, and it was a team effort, right? Right from Atul Senior till the junior guy. We got pastry boxes from the sidewalk. We packed it really well, and we gave it to this 2 gentlemen, my roommates, and asked them to leave from the lobby. So they went as if they bought the pastry and ऐसे करके निकल गया. And I still remember we had a wild party at Amardeep Daya's house. He's now with the cruise. He used to be the captain at La Piazza and then became the captain at Polo Lounge. And we had a fantastic party at his house where, 4 bottles of spirit for 6 guys working in the bar was a lot of alcohol to celebrate. So, yes.
Amazing. How about others? Anyone?
Yeah. I don't waste empty bottles, especially. So I don't know. Earlier, I used to think when I started that I don't know if there would be any day when I'll be able to buy these bottles. So all the empty bottles, I used to take it home with me. I used to fill it with like the decent alcohol, and I used to flaunt it in our circle. No, just make them have a party with a blender Sprite filled in a blue label bottle. So, done this a lot of times.
Fantastic. Nitin Senior.
No, I just love collecting some bottles. And it's very rare to buy these fancy bottles. Like I remember, like still till today, like a bottle of Galliano is at my home. Like mom has kept it safe. It's an empty bottle, just there, Galliano tall bottle. It's just a bottle that I wanted to have, and it was not available in market. Hyatt Polo Lounge had it. We made sure that we put it into cocktail, finish it off, and then I took the permission from it. It's like, ये bottle कहीं नहीं जाएगी, ये bottle खाली मैं घर लेके जाऊँगा. So that way I have at least like till today I have I think 20-25 bottles that I've collected from those days, and I've kept them safe. I had the Girwan bottle got finished, like it was emptied, so I took that bottle. I don't know. It's just a hobby that I have to collect these, and I have a lot of them.
Sure. Sadhvi ma'am.
Never ever.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought you were
no.
like, no, I'm not telling you right now.
No. When people
Why
don't
would I
speak
not
for the
tell you?
when people don't speak for the first 5 seconds and only do something is really really fishy. Huh?
The thought would not even occur to me. Yeah. I was one of those way too straight-laced.
Interesting.
Way too straight-laced.
Abhishek?
Yes, sir. Sir, I have collected few empty bottles, yes, earlier in the past. So.
Very well played.
No, seriously.
Kera, I am still working. I can't say this right now because I might lose job. कहता बाकी सब तो छोड़ चुके हैं.
Actually, Okay, the last one for the afternoon. Have you ever got drunk on a serious tasting session? Like a whiskey session, wine session. You just got little high or tipsy and you're trying to control because you didn't spit it out or there was not a spittoon or whatever. Or in an exhibition or, while working or whatever. Go for it. Shadvi ma'am, you go for it this time. कुछ तो आपने करा
100%.
है. Yeah?
And it was terrible because, I realized very quickly, this is the first time I was doing a wine tasting, not a wine tasting per se, but it was a wine tasting to judge at a judging panel. I didn't realize, and I've never been able, one of those who could, do that whole spitting scene, man. Never understood it. कि यार ये spitting क्या चीज है? But by the first round, and this was not even lunchtime yet, I realized that if I had to even survive the whole day, I would have died only, because by that time I was already at a stage where I was thinking, shit, what am I going to do now? So I had to very quickly learn the art of spitting for the second half, because I would have not been standing at all if I had
So the
continued that
participants
way.
in the second half of the competition, I'm sure, gained better
Yeah,
marks.
so I literally had to drink so much water. During the lunch break, I had to really drink so much water and eat a lot of bread so that I would survive the second half.
Interesting.
Yes.
Anybody else would want to
100%.
go for it?
I have been a person in that because like most of you know, like I'm not a heavy drinker anyways. So it has happened many times, like especially wine tasting is one. I don't know, wine just hits me so fast and so quick, like even with the smallest sip or even like sometimes splitting them, I just tend to get little tipsy. The worst one happened to me in London. Like one of the bars we rented with some really big people in the industry of London bar industry. So they invited for an Amaro tasting. And at that time, I had I never tasted Amaro before that. This is way before when, things like Angusta and everyone started making Amaro. So I went for this tasting and they were all the industry experts there. So I was just like trying to be like this. And I never realized that there's so many bottles of Amaro in this world, because I thought, ek to hi hoti hongi, kar lenge taste, but they just kept getting it like this is this. And I kept tasting. And the liquid is so good that I can't even spit it out. Like everyone's drinking, so I was like, I'll take it. It was supposed to be a nice, easygoing brunch, but I have no idea when the food came or what happened. I just somehow grabbed one sandwich. I said, like, I need to go. I have a meeting, booked a cab, and went back to hotel and slept like whole day after that. Like because I was like completely sloshed. Because Amaro is like stronger. It has more sweet things. I think it just hit my head straight. So yeah, I think it has happened to everyone's life. Lama sir will tell, because Lama sir judge competition so many. I'm sure most of a lot of them would have happened like this.
Go for it, Lama sir. Can't wait to hear you.
No, I've not really got drunk during competitions, but very early on, this was in 1998. I think there used to be a company called BCM Remy. So they had bought Contru into India. They invited all of us. We were still at the Polo Lounge. They invited us to the Hilton or the Holiday Inn, which is now the Lalit at Barakhamba, and that is where the session was. And I still remember Mr. Ashim Kapoor was also there. He was the F&B then. So the director of food and beverage was there, and then there were two bartenders from the Polo Lounge. It was myself, and there was this other guy called Pradeep Rawat. For hum dono na, pehle the first round we sat in this round table where Mr. Kapoor was also there. And then first time tasting Contru. So when we had this first sip, it was nice, sweet, and it was very tasty. And then I told Pradeep, yaar, ye to mushkil ho jayega, Mr. Kapoor is here, to bolta hai, dusre table mein baithe. So we changed that table, and he and I happened to finish. This is like a very early afternoon kind of a session. It finished around 3 o'clock. He and I finished one full bottle of Contru in the course of the next 3 hours, because it was nice, it was tasty. And I'm not a very big consumer of alcohol otherwise, but this was nice and tasty. So, and then I still remember Mr. Kapoor kept saying from a distance, we could figure out he wanted to take us back to the hotel in his cab. I still remember he and I getting into an auto and coming home and not reporting to the shift. And the kind of blasting that we got the next day was tremendous. One more incident that happened, this was at Cocktails and Speakeasy a couple of years ago. we had a band. So this band was from Darjeeling, and I do not know how Meenakshi got in touch with the band. And a very good band. So they said they're based out of Bangalore, but they were visiting Delhi. And I think they got in touch with Meenakshi, and Meenakshi had lined up a band. It was a Saturday night, but it was a band from Darjeeling. So naturally, you know, I got to know a little later this is a band from Darjeeling, and then naturally that evening there were lots of people from Darjeeling who were at the bar, right? And then the band was performing, and suddenly in the midst of the performance, they stopped and they said, "We would like to invite." So there was somebody very senior from us from school. She lives in Delhi, and she used to be a very good guitarist and a singer. So they invited her on stage. She went on stage, and by that time, you know, everybody was drinking. I was also a couple of drinks down, and she started the first song, not a Western song. She started singing a very peppy Nepali song, and then everybody started to dance, and I was the guy who got into the very first table of speakeasy, and I was like full on top of the table. And then the next day, my manager Rajesh posted a video saying, "Ye dekho, hamara laga hua hai." So I've had these instances, and it's fun. It's fun, man. It's really nice.
No, absolutely. These are the memories that we carry. Anji, come sir.
So otherwise, I'm a non-drinker, but no, when doing a tasting sessions or judging cocktail competitions. So initial days of judging competitions, so bartenders were making really tasty, fancy, delicious drinks, and there were like 3 juries, and everyone used to get a glass. So I means like by the end of there were around 25 bartenders. After the first round, like I never knew how I did the marking, how I did the tasting, and I got all dehydrated, and I was drunk, and yeah, that was a very embarrassing situation by the end of the cocktail competition. So this was the first and the only time. So I got drunk. So which is a bad thing that it was between a cocktail competition, but then I was judging it at the wrong time.
Nice. Super. Abhishek.
Sir, never.
Never. I knew it. Super. That's about it, guys. Tarun Senior, I think that's good enough. It was a lovely chat this afternoon. And thank you very much for all of you, to join in. And thank you for teaching us so much and being an inspiration to all of us. That's about it. Happy Bartenders Day to all of you. And thank you for creating this platform.
Wishing everyone watching a very happy Bartenders Day too.
Yeah, absolutely. To all the audience as well.